Okay, so what I was saying is that technique looks like something, but as you start to dig deeper, it's not that. And in fact, now I can see it doesn't at all look like what I thought it looked like, okay? So that's how that ego tripartite mind is going to interpret reality. So it interpreted your variations were all X, Y, counter opposition, do you see? And then you moved like that, you understood like that. And this is something totally different. Like even like, why would you enter on a straight line? You know, when you go under the arms, like why are you entering on the 12-6 line? I shouldn't have been on a 12-6 line. This thing's gonna keep rotating. So I should enter at a right angle to the path that Uke is on at the moment I enter, because they're going to keep coming around. Do you see that? And so now I'm where you want to be in your imagined variation of this technique. Okay? Everything is like that. That's what happens. That's what I mean when I say that ego tripartite mind is going to assert everything. It will do it to everything. Okay? Even like, for example, I know you get here and you're struggling emotionally. I can feel it. I come in here and you're like, I could make you cry in an instant. Okay? Again, whatever you think the 4 disciplines are, you can reverse engineer it. If you're feeling like that and you're doing them, then what you're doing is not what they are. Okay? Just like this technique. You're stopping the uke. You're on a 12-6 grid. You're on an oppositional line of attack. Like, that doesn't make sense. That can't be right. That can't be Aikido. Okay? So the same way, if I'm at an emotional state come Friday, by default, I'm not doing my 4 disciplines, or if I think I am, they've been usurped by the ego tripartite mind. I'm not doing them correctly. I haven't understood the teaching. So I know when you come here, you want to talk, right? You're all women, you want to talk. You're taken by the feminization of the modern world. You don't feel good. You want to do talk therapy. But that isn't going to help you. You have to move your body. The talk therapy is an usurpation of the way, which is too much ego tripartite mind. And the ego tripartite mind is the feminine aspect of the universe. So you want to talk. But that talk therapy is based on something that is not actually true. It's not possible. It can't be right. And that is that you can divide your mind and your body. That's not possible. And deep down you know that. Just like deep down you know staying in an XY relationship with Uke can't be Aikido. Deep down, you don't have one experience where you could ever isolate mind from body. You don't. You just have the belief that it can be done. And then you have the inertial, habitual belief that that's what we're doing, but we don't. Talking is of the ego tripartite mind, and it wants to continue to function. So you women want to come and talk about your problems. You want to come and talk your way out of it, and it's not going to work. You have to start moving. So if you pay attention, it was a short class, it was small, but I can tell you're in a better spot than when you were first here, do you see? I think you have to be extra careful when you're a woman in the way. here's the main two reasons why. They're so profound. Okay, one is Kali Yuga is in essence that feminization that we have of the world. What is innately natural to you, right? You're wanting to communicate. You're wanting to express your feelings. Do you see? If you pay attention, the counselor therapy industry is overwhelmingly now female counselors, and clientele, female clientele. Why? This is naturally suited to you. We almost have the opposite problem. We can't get men to deal with issues at that level. Like, let's at least get it to the surface, do you see? But we have a growing population of men who do, because they've been feminized. They want to talk about their feelings. And they bought into this body-mind division, which is an ego tripartite construct. It's oppositional, do you see? And so we have men that don't move, men that don't lift weights, men that can't defend anything. Do you get it? I'm not sure. What are they in the traditional sense? Priscilla went to a college campus, right? I said, what was it like? What were the people like? She says, oh, well, there's no men like Ronan or Tristan. I said, what do you mean? She's all, like muscle bound, do you get it? She's hilarious. I know she was joking. But she's all, I'm fucked, Dad. I'm not going to meet a husband. But, we're looking at the grander scale of things. Do you see? In the naturalization of what is an usurpation of the way. So you have to watch that your natural tendencies are very much consistent, correlated, maybe even causal with this normalization of what is an usurpation of the way. Like, I don't feel good, so I want to come here and talk. As opposed to, I don't feel good, so I think I should do some energetic physical component training, not talk about this stuff. That's the first reason. The second reason is the lessons of the way, they're not really written for the female gender. If you look at the historical record, they are written by men, about men, for men. It's just the modern usurpation that holds that there's no difference between men and women. And so now you read St. John and you're like, he's talking to me. He's not fucking talking to you. This is why I strongly advocate that you read the female saints. Because the technology of self is geared towards this difference. In the pre-modern technology, there is a difference. That yang is not yin. We, in the modern usurpation, we don't want that. We want this false sameness, do you see? So, for example, I'm not an advocate that you guys go crazy on your low carb or even your fasting, because in my experience, it really F's up your hormones. You have to be very cautious about what you're doing, and more particularly, that you are assessing what is working and not working and how it is working for you all along the way. I teach that to everybody. So a male should do that too. But in the usurpation, a male can be stupid and not pay attention to what does carnivore, you went carnivore, what's it doing for you? You see, a male could be stupid and he'll probably be okay. He might have a keto flu or something like that, you see. That's not that bad. He might have some constipation. Oh, you see? But you go without assessing as you're going along the way, you go low carb, you could lose your menstrual cycle. Just as an example. And now what's that do to your hormonal levels? Now what's that do to your mood? Now how well are you training because you can't get out of bed? Do you see? But the usurpation, that element one wants to go, no, I should be able to go on keto, I should be able to go, no, we don't, probably not. That's just a simple example. If you read the saints, the female saints, their way is not really grounded in the warrior sacrifice, the warrior facing of death, the no self that comes from that sacrifice. It's from another aspect of the warrior. This is an aspect of devotion, service, the loss of self through that. Not through, go ahead, God, I'll drink this cup of poison. Kill me, beat me, nail me to your cross. But rather through a divine matrimony, do you see? There is that loss of self that comes through the devotion to the marriage. Pay attention. Just like, for example, if you can reverse engineer this technology, because we know that no self is a process that is experienced as suffering. Do you see? Because the ego tripartite mind won't let go of it. So the male psyche, right, where he is predisposed to know self through sacrifice. But now look around. Where do you see it? How much of it do you see? Because it's hard. We don't do it. We won't do it. So you can reverse engineer it and go, I don't see too many sacrificing males anymore. Okay, I mean, take for example, like the other day I was telling, Tristan is like, you can't be a man, or maybe there was others here, but it was directed to Tristan. You can't be a man who cannot suffer. To not be able to suffer is to remain a boy. They count all their wounds, do you see? So in threat assessment, when I was trained in the Secret Service model, who does the shootings? They call them hurt harvesters. They collect, the active shooters, the mass murderers, they collect all their hurts that they've had, and they keep storing them. And the Secret Service colloquialism for them is hurt harvester. And you psychologically profile them, and you see emotional unintelligence, you see a spiritual immaturity. It's a boy in a man's body. They can't suffer without it being so contrary to their being, do you see? Whereas a man is just, that's what they do, they suffer. Somebody was asking me, I don't remember which injury it was, but they're like, is it any better? And I'm like, well, it's at the normal level of pain. That's zero. That's the new zero. I don't have a pain-free body. But you keep going and you keep going. The kids, there's a song, Faithful Son, and there's a line in it where the singer is saying, like, your kids don't know what you're suffering. They don't understand that. That's how it's supposed to be. They don't understand the trials and the hardships. They're not supposed to. You're supposed to be able, as the man, you just keep going. You keep going. And you die, and they never know. But you don't see that nowadays. This is too hard. I'm leaving. I'm going to divorce. I'm going to get out. I'm going to get someone else to raise my kids, to coach them, to give them strength. But in the same way, we don't see this no-self technology in women either. This devotion, this spiritual marriage. But that is the way. You try to suffer, you're probably going to get crushed. You do the other way, you do the yang way, you're probably going to get crushed. It's probably going to destroy you. But think about it, reverse engineer. If the dread and the fear is related to the homeostatic energy of the ego tripartite mind, ask yourself, is it not more terrifying for you to be the devoted bride of God? It is. And look at the Kali Yuga. Is this what you're taught to be now? No, you're not taught that level of no self. You're not taught that. You just look at what you do in your normal relationships. You try to manipulate, you try to compete, you try to compare. Do you see? And this is not what those saints did. And you don't have to look any further. You can stay at the west end of the Silk Road, and you can look at the mother of all saints, which is Mary, and you just look at her, right? right? And you look at what she said, thy will be done. Thy will be done. So careful on how these things happen, right? Meaning careful on what you're understanding might be a misunderstanding. Okay? And I don't mind if you want to have some talks or you want to talk, but I want you as Deshi to go, that is what I want to do because it's getting away from me and this world is telling me that's what I should do. Let's move first, okay? Let's move first and let's release self. Let's embody the thy will be done. You think about it, okay? Get to the heart of what any marriage is. And you're going to find no self in it. If it is a true marriage, you're going to find no self in it. This is why it's a sacrament in Catholicism. And then add to that the spirit of the mother of all female saints, thy will be done. You can enter into that kind of no self commitment with the way, do you see? With God, do you get it? With your teacher, with your training. It doesn't matter what you marry, okay? But you must stop trying to be nailed to that cross. You must stop trying to wait for acts of violence to come upon you. Instead, you must find no self through this, thy will be done. It is much harder than you think, and it's why we don't want to do it, okay? It is much harder. Now, I think it would be impossible for me, but it's possible for you. I mean, it's too hard for me. But yours, my way's too hard for you. My way's too hard for you. Okay? So careful. Be mindful.